hello, health heads. Welcome and thank you for checking in to this dose of the healthcare uprising. I'm your producer, Jeremy Carr, here on the couch with your host, Heather Pierce. So what is on our agenda for today, Heather?
So we were actually just saying this. So the person that we have today is Ashissh Raichura, who is the founder and CEO of Scanbo. Scanbo is a diagnostics device, and it literally is like exactly why the healthcare uprising exists.
Yeah, it's like our perfect episode.
It really does. It just kind of checks all the boxes for innovation in healthcare, helping humans be healthier, helping physicians be more efficient.
We coined the phrase ethical AI in this episode.
Yeah.
That gives me weird chills.
And the use of AI in healthcare, I mean, it's here, it's happening, whether you know it or not. But it is AI, and I know there's good and bad thoughts about AI, but I would say that AI is maybe the most helpful in the healthcare space. And I think what they're doing with the Scanbo medical diagnostics test, it's like basically like this thing held in a hand that can test like 9 different things.
It's Star Trek.
It's very Star Trekky. So anyway, it is the wave of the future. It is like, this is why we exist. This is what we need. And these are the types of things that are going to change healthcare for the better. So yeah, let's dig in.
Yeah, there you go. Without further ado, here's our conversation with Ashissh Raichura from Scanbo.
Hi, and welcome to the Healthcare Uprising podcast. Today we have with us a special guest, and I say special guest because Ashissh and I go a little ways back here now, so I'm very excited to have him on the show. But we have Ashissh Raichura, who is the founder and CEO of Scanbo, with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heather. It's been a long time. We've been connected and chatting to each other. And finally, we are here.
Yeah, we sure are. And a lot has changed since the first time that you and I first connected. I want to say, gosh, now at least 2 years ago, when you were just getting Scanbo off the ground. It was like in infant stages. Obviously, a lot has changed.
So is this podcast.
And so is this podcast. Yeah, that's right. I think we launched the podcast pretty soon after you and I initially met on LinkedIn. So let's just start with who Scanbo is, who you are. Tell us a little bit about the company and what you're trying to do in this space, and a little bit about your background and what really led you to creating and launching Scanbo here into the healthcare universe.
Sure. Love to do that. My background, I have spent almost 30 years now in the technology space. The journey of Scanbo started because my father was being diagnosed with the Alzheimer. That's when I closely looked up why we need diagnostic to be done. And most importantly, 2 factors of it. One, a pre-diagnostic, which I call it early diagnostic, which I also call it a regular checkup now. And one that we do monitoring. The monitoring post you are having some symptoms, some surgery done. So that's basically the role of the Scanbo is. We were monitoring with multiple devices. They don't talk to each other. As of today, they are all silos, different apps, different technology. So I thought, being an electronic engineer, why can't we have all of these things on one page, on one view? And the first thing came to my mind, okay, 80% of what I'm measuring for my father is basically electronics. And that's where my learnings are. So I started building up a parameter, which is blood pressure, heart rate, and then temperature, which was very obvious because it is electronics. And 3D printed device, way back in 2015, started as a research. And now all the way we have a current device, which we call it as a D8. D8 stands for diagnostic 8, number 8. And we do 8 parameters, which is blood pressure, heart rate, ECG, HRV, breath rate, body temperature, blood oxygen, and blood glucose. All of them into a single device. Very small, very compact, You don't need any batteries like 8888 And we also have multiple AI agents now, because when we launched the product in market space, we got feedback. The feedback was excellent. Can we have some understanding about this parameter? Can we have understanding about that parameter? And now we have a three AI agents, which is already in the market space. And the journey has evolved from a basic diagnostic to a full fledged point of care blood analyzer. And I think I'm very
Wow.
grateful that this journey started and we are here now.
This this is going to be another one of those Star Trek episodes.
I think it is. It is pretty Star Trekky.
This is very Star Trekky already.
Jeremy loves this stuff.
Oh, I
So
love the Star Trek episodes. So
Yes, I
this is just
love Star Trek. I love that flip phone, which Motorola launched it later on. But that's what we are into now.
and this is just totally mobile. You can how big is this thing? Is in like you can do this at home, you can do this at the hospital, you can do this anywhere.
So it's a three
Is
inch
that
by 3 inch, very compact. Can sit in
okay.
your shirt pocket, t-shirt pocket. Uh,
wow?
it's 90 gram of a weight, including the chargeable battery. Ideally, you can do it anywhere, but typically we do it B2B. So our typical customer looks like physician's office, hospital
Hmm.
OPD, the nurses which are going around the facility all the time, and they want to go from one room to another room, one patient to another patient with those bulky devices, and note it down everything in a piece of paper and come back. Uh, that's all eliminated. You just have a very
Well,
small, very compact device. Go with that device anywhere on the floor, whether it's emergency, whether it's patient monitoring, whether it's front desk, you can do it everywhere.
wow. So this is like some every nurse should have in their pocket kind of thing. This is
Yes,
what that
and
sounds like. Okay.
that's the vision. Every HSP, healthcare provider, hospital OPDs, nursing care, senior care, assisted care homes, everyone should have this device.
Wow. So today, just to clarify, all of those nine parameters, right? So the blood test, the blood clue, all the things.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff for just the one thing you put in your pocket. That's impressive.
They're typically tested. Those things are tested or measured or whatever the term is, right? For that particular um, specific thing is done by a separate device today. So the Scanbo medical device, this small little 3x3 thing that essentially anyone can carry in their pocket, they can show up and test nine different things rather than pulling out nine different ways to test nine different things. And it's all just in this one device.
Mm.
Correct. Exactly. So we saying instead of a fragmented healthcare, now we have a connected healthcare, because all your parameters on a single device can be measured at less than 3 minutes of time. Over a period of time, we will add more blood tests. So fast forward 3 years, we have 19 blood parameters, and when your doctor writes a lab requisition to you, instead of going between the multiple offices, you just do it everything in the doctor's office, right there,
That's
Right.
amazing.
The
in less than
efficiency.
five
Yeah.
minutes. That's what it should be. Here is what I feel. A patient or an individual or an health seeker is not a pile of fragmented system. It is basically one body, and why can't we look at it as a one single human being than a fragmented healthcare system? That's
Hmm.
the moving forward it should happen, and I think can't be better than point of care. If I go back to my early age, I think GP was the best thing that could happen to any human being and any family. Because remember, we don't go to GP alone, the entire family goes. So they understand family history, family culture, family gene, and they understand anything and everything about you and your family than a super specialist and specialist. I'm not saying they're not good, but I'm saying we forgot in this journey that entry point is GP. He's the
Mm-hmm.
guy who looks or meets you or your family member probably at least once in a month, once in a quarter, maybe for some acute pain, maybe for acute complaints, or maybe for some ongoing complaints, right? But he's been generationally looking at your family. So we, as a Scanbo, rather than a fragmented healthcare system, bringing it everything back to the point of care, which is GP.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I think, kind of to your point, is that a lot of what has happened in healthcare settings is that they're trying to react to working around the system versus delivering for the patient, right? And that single human. So Scambo really shows up that way, and that you've got these 9 different tests that you can do. I mean, the efficiency alone, right? Just think about that. Instead of having 9 different tests,
Oh, the efficiency is what it's all about. Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're looking for. In the blood test part of it, when you were saying that, um, that eliminates an entire visit, trip, transportation, potentially that somebody may not have, or the time to go and get their blood tested at Sonora Quest or wherever it is that you get your blood tested, to be able to do it right there in that office. Like, boom, done. Like, I mean, that's huge. So,
And see, we saying we're not saying that this at least kind of giving you the entire view of the body, but at least with the 19 parameters, now you have a pretty decent idea at a point of care that what's happening, right? Because look at this way: your GP, your family physician, writes once in a year entire body checkup routine once in a year. And between
mhm,
that once in a year, you don't do monitoring. Now, if I bring it down to the point of care and I say now you can do it every quarter, you are faster diagnostic. You probably catch the symptom early in time that you don't become an ER patient or you don't become chronic. Overall, it's a win win situation because the burden on the healthcare system is reduced when you are a primary care taken already.
mhm.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does this thing? We've gone over what it does. How does it actually work? Like, do you have to like put a drop of blood into this thing, or is it just like you just press it on the skin? Like, how does it actually go about scanning you?
So we have 7 non-invasive, which is where you don't need the blood. Only for the glucose you need the blood. So typically, like any other glucometer, you finger prick, you give a drop of a blood to our strips, and device does its magic, and everything is displayed on a mobile app or in front of you, in front of your provider, everybody. And rest of the parameter like blood pressure, we provide the blood pressure cuff. For temperature, you can just put it on your forehead. On the other side for SpO2 and ECG, you just put some hand finger and good enough. But if you do all the tests on one patient or one individual, it should end it up in 3 minutes of time.
3 minutes? Wow,
That's correct.
Mm.
that's that is Star Trek.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You know,
And I was looking at your website before we started, and I saw that you've got some. It sounds like you've got some beta test groups going on with a couple of ACOs in, I think it was Florida and New York, and then
That's
750 devices that are plus that are out there being used. So, so this is when did all that start happening? Because I know the company's still relatively new. And I'm curious, what are you seeing? What's the feedback? What kind of data are you getting?
So we started very early because by the time we get the FDA approval, we thought it may be a good idea to start with the low hanging fruit, and we
Hmm.
started with the India as our distribution market just to begin with. So we have an approval of our both product, which is our Scanbo D8, which is our first device, and also our cardiac agent, which we call it Hridayata, which is heart rhythm. Both of them are approved by the India FDA equivalent, which we call it Central Drug Authority.
Hmm.
We have now 1,000 plus devices in the market space being used by doctors, hospital OPDs, hospital IPD now. We also have senior care, assisted care homes, and we have probably bunch of other community workers too. And all of these devices are actively working in the space. And just to share, we have now 175 million health data points. We have 1.1 million ECGs. So our
Wow.
cardiac agent have been not only by trained, self-trained on 1.1 million ECGs now, which is real time on real human, not in the lab, in the field, in a different environment, different temperature, different age group. So that's the one that we have so far. And while you and me talking, Heather, I'm happy to share that now we have a couple of state government order, and that's anywhere between 15,000 devices to be done this year end, on or before this year end. And following to that next year, we need to supply 500,000 devices to
Oh
the
my
five
gosh.
Wow.
state India government. And
There it
parallelly,
is.
we also working for US FDA approval because we are half the way through in it. We have done two pre-sub meetings with them. We have kind of submitted the protocol. We're just finishing our last clinical study. I think once that is done, we should do the 510 application too.
Amazing. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge growth spurt, but not surprising because I mean, is there anyone else with anything like this that can do some like? Do you have competition for this device at this point?
Yes, we do have competition, and
Okay, so
I
there are other
always
people doing it.
yes, I always feel competition is good because that keeps me all the time on toe just to make it better, right? But I mean, diagnostic is the most crowded space that the VCs, investors, partners, everyone feels like it. But if you closely deep dive and kind of get to the funnel end, you will realize that diagnostic is pretty much divided into two major segments. One is a point of care, and one is a desktop analyzer. A lot of the noise that you hear is just desktop analyzer. So what that means is you have we do all the things in the large laboratory environment, which is like wet chemistry, batches are being run, centralized machineries and everything. But there are so many good startups across the globe working it to bring down that large setup to desktop analyzer. But still, the need for climate, temperature control, trained staff, reagents, chemicals, wet chemistry really doesn't get eliminated. From my perspective, there is a good amount of work is happening in the diagnostic, which is point of care, but more of a noise and less of the real innovation. So my experience, we have seen some nice products which are very close to Scanbo, couple of them, but they not focusing on biology part of it. So they
mm,
stay up to the non-invasive because it's really gets you really motivated and stay on it to get that same precise result into the point of care on a dry chemistry, what we call it. Like a dry chemistry is nothing bringing those wet chemistry concept on a small little strip, which we call it enzyme based, sometimes antibody antigen based, where the chemical reaction happens, generates the electronic conductivity. We capture that by our reader and we display the results, like trying to simplify it. But
mm-hmm.
that side of the diagnostic and point of care, you see very little innovation because it's hard to get and stay motivated for 5, 7, 10 years to get that kind of results. So most of the startup then focus on desktop analyzer. So we do have competition where we do 1, 2, 3 parameters, non-biology or sometime biology, like focusing on infectious disease, which is easy to get it, COVID test strip, which is now easy to get it, but not on the core stuff like HbA1c. Yes, there is one or two point of care analyzer, way costly, needs still the reagents, kind of a mix of wet chemistry and dry chemistry. So ideally, when I look at my space, I feel we are way ahead compared to the competition. And that's because we've been working on this for last 5 years, silently doing the research for 19 parameters and made it possible on that strip now.
Hmm.
Right.
It's amazing how far it's, you know,
Just integrating more elements than other people are doing into
yeah,
one place.
Exactly.
yeah, and technology, and I want to talk about AI. That's obviously a huge part of this as well. So
Yeah,
we're gonna,
especially with those data sets you're gathering, you already have huge data sets. Like, is there potential to analyze that into like finding patterns in the chaos, so to speak, or are you able to do that, or is it too individualistic of a thing, or what's your take on that?
Perfect. So when someone on the investment side, on the VC side, asks me question, what is the long term? So I say, diagnostic is my bread and butter. Although it's a large segment, it's like point of care where you have a repeatability revenue, recurring revenue, like a printer and cartridge, razor and blade kind of a model. But the long term goal for us is data. So I'm more than happy to say we will be the largest health repository on this planet Earth because we are capturing raw signals. Most of
mm-hmm,
the most of the people we see in the ecosystem working with AI or working with the data, they go and say we want to have a data, train the data, get in data from outside. But for Scambo, what we do is we get our own data because we are at a point of care. When you visit for the first time, we're sitting there to collect the data. So data is a big part of Scanbo's journey. I call myself a healthcare repository of globe. Uh, that's what the aim is. And that's why we have started building up a couple of AI algorithms. All these AI algorithms that we'll see will be providing kind of an enhanced capability to all the all the physicians across the world. I'm not saying physicians are not expert; they do best of their job because I know my daughter is studying medicine, so how much it takes to become a doctor or a physician. But if I can make you 10x, 100x better, and if I can replicate you 10x, I have, let's say, a Dr. Heather, she's best diabetologist. And if I can have thousands of Heather across the globe doing the same job, sharing the same expertise with the help of I think that's the best part of the combination of AI and uh, human race. AI can't be better than that, serving the human race.
yeah, definitely,
It's one of the things I like about doing this podcast is it's really kind of the only place I hear about the good things being done with AI,
yeah, that's kind of the
because
point,
everything else I hear is the horror shows going on.
right?
So it's
So,
actually
in
healthcare
that
is like
sense,
flourishing with
Yeah,
AI.
it really is. AI is showing up in healthcare in really positive ways, and I think this is exactly what you're talking about with the work that you're doing.
and exactly that's where this is the same morning I had that one investor meeting this morning, and he said, "Oh, I am hearing it a lot of positive about AI." So I said, two things here happened in last 2 years, and that's exactly what has happened, Heather, between our first LinkedIn and now.
Hmm.
We kind of little switch the gear, and now we say we are ethical AI for healthcare.
Hmm.
We not just diagnostic, not just data, and for that we have done a pretty good amount of job in 2 or 3 products that we launched in last 2 years. We have put up the lots of guardrail for AI not to cross the FDA defined boundaries and not to cross that boundaries when it comes to healthcare without patient consent. And
Hmm.
see, that is another piece where people really miss out the entire puzzle. We do everything as of today, in past or in future, for the betterment of humanity. So we can't forget that if I don't have a consent of a human, AI should not react. So guardrail, ethical AI, is critical. And I think Scanbo, as a Scanbo, we decided to be the torchbearer of that. You know, I just give one more classical example to all my team member. Terminator Part Two. Uh, we have seen Arnold fighting for human race as an AI, and there is another side of AI which is fighting against the human race. So I say to my team all the time, remember anything and everything we do, we are Arnold of Terminator 2 because that's ethical AI.
Ah,
And we have to always remember that all of those robots, good and bad, were originally programmed by humans.
humans. That's right.
That's,
Exactly. That's
yeah,
correct.
it's all a matter of what we choose to do with it.
That's right.
And you know
That
what?
that is true.
With the things that is around happening with the AI, best of the things happening with the AI, but probably one of the important thing that we as a human missing in this capitalism race is, if we don't have a humanity only surviving, then whom this AI going to serve, right? So if we don't put the guardrail now, if we don't put the policy now, which I see now some of the global governments are doing it, like Middle East did it, EU did it, which is good side of the AI progressing it. But one most important missing puzzle is the human consent. I
Hmm.
think that's where everything should be around for that particular matter. Typically, look at this. You go to any healthcare facility, or for that matter, any institutional premises. But I'll focus on healthcare because that's what I love about. You just don't read any document, right? What you do is just pick up that piece of paper, write your name, write your birth date, write your contact number, and just sign it. Everything is
Hmm.
fine line.
Hmm.
Between that fine line, what you did was you surrender yourself to a healthcare system. That's not
Right.
right. A human should have a full right now than ever before, and a consent should be given by the human for sharing their data, or for that matter, capturing that data, which is critical piece in this entire AI journey now.
Yeah, that it made me. I was not even joking you. I was sitting at urgent ortho appointment with my son this morning,
Like just a couple hours ago.
going through swiping, signing, swiping, signing, agree and continue, agree. And I didn't read it. And I work in the healthcare industry. So like I know like there's all sorts of legal mumbo jumbo in there, and who knows what I might be signing
You
my.
can't sue anybody after you sign all
Oh
that.
gosh, no. No, most people don't read it, right? Even if they do, they don't know what they're actually reading. So how does that play into it with the Scanbo device? So like walk me through maybe an experience of what a patient might feel or what they might encounter with a clinician who might be showing up with the Scambo device in their hospital room.
Perfect. And you said absolutely right, Heather. We don't read it. Even if we read it, it's made it so complicated that it doesn't make sense from a
Right.
legal perspective.
Yeah, you
And
have to
and
actually be a lawyer.
Right.
yes, and I'm not happy to say that, but you are signing up for sharing your data to anyone and everyone, and at the same time, you allow them to make money on your own data, which
Hmm.
I'm not against it, but I think in the age of AI, it should change now. Um,
Yeah.
you can't be uh, paying the company for collecting your data, and at the same time those companies become trillion-dollar companies, and in the name of giving you a free money, they're giving you a UBI, which is universal basic income, which is kind of in a way, they are saying to you that, okay, with this little money, we are buying your freedom. We are buying
Mm.
your, uh, I call it, we are buying your dependency by giving
Yeah.
you UBI. And this is the right time when we as a human race should stand against what we're getting into. You don't want to be in that situation where somebody is telling you how much you can eat, how much you can drink, um, and how much you can survive. If you go to the store, a grocery store, and you like an apple, and when you pick up the apple and go to uh, the cashier to the pay or to the self checkout, and it tells you, Heather, you cannot buy this apple because your this month quota is over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's where we are heading it. But coming back
Mm.
to your point, here is what happens when a physician has a Scanbo device. Uh, the first thing before adding you on a Scanbo's platform, there is a OTP gets generated and sent to you, and that OTP tells you that you are giving a permission to Dr. Ashish for adding you on this Canbo platform and capturing your data. And
Okay.
once you share that OTP, which is a one-time password, then only the physician can do an act on it. The data is being captured. He treated you. Your visit is over. Immediately coming it out, you can stop sharing that data, even though
Okay.
that data is being captured by that particular physician. And this
Mm.
is very simple. You can go to the mobile app, you download it app, and you say stop sharing. That's it. One click,
Okay.
no other click. Okay. And to that extent, and I'm happy to share this first time ever on any platform now. Uh, in a couple of months, probably if all goes well, because we are doing our internal testing, we launching as a Scambo our own platform to the global, which is completely secured, patient based, consent based infrastructure for healthcare, where everything is protected by the individual. And that is not only capturing your data from a multiple fragmented system, but it will bring down all your data into one view of yours, whether it could be wearable, whether it could be any kind of a ring, or your watch or your mobile phone data, your steps, your sleep, your everything into the interportable file format. And that's basically patient consent driven.
Okay.
I
That's cool.
when you first started describing that, I was blown away at the concept of people being able to control their own data. And then I realized how sad it was that I was blown away by
That's also slightly.
that should be the baseline, really.
Mhm.
Like why hasn't that been a thing before?
Yeah.
And we do have regulations. We do have act. US has an act. Canada has an act. Every act says that patient has a right to own its own data or share it, not share it, its own data. And remember, one important thing, one important message here for all of us, including myself. Uh, in the race of AI, everything is changing, but only one thing that cannot change, it's your own body and your own body data. That belongs to me. This is my body, so my data. Everything else in the world that you're living, it's generated by somebody else. It's the only body data that is my own. It's my property, my rights. I have a full right as a human to decide whom I want to share and why I want to share and get a better healthcare facility, better healthcare outcome, right? If
Mhm.
you don't treat me well, get I'm going to stop sharing my data. As simple as that.
I mean, I kind of love that, right? Because even thinking about it, sharing your data can be good for the good of the world, right? Like it can help inform clinical research studies. It can show trends in certain areas
Especially with
around.
this healthcare stuff,
There's so many things that it can reveal, right? So there's positives to being, in that pool of data. But I
Great.
do like I do like the idea of being able to lock that down if you want to. And with the Scanbo device too, and I have a question about that too, around like kind of if there's particular types of physicians or patients that can benefit from these tests. But to be anyhow, like I'm just thinking, like as our population data is so important, or rather, population health is so important in healthcare. It can tell us so many things. So I'm not saying everybody should share their data, but
Oh, well.
there's upsides to it that could potentially benefit you, right? As a patient at some point. So
I'm going to donate my body to science when I die because there's all kinds of weird things about me. I'm hoping I can teach them something.
there you go.
I do learn a lot when I see look at the data of every human.
Oh, I bet.
Every human body is different.
Hmm.
Yes.
Now, so I was just kind of alluding to this, but obviously you had said, the Scambo device is in, many locations and many different physicians' hands at this point. Have you found that um, the use of this device benefits certain types of providers or doctors or facilities with maybe specific types of patients that have, you know, comorbidities, multiple health conditions, or just specific circumstances, outside of conditions, but emergent, that sort of thing. Just curious to kind of hear where that might have shown up to be the most valuable.
And thank you. We have lots of good stories, lots of feedbacks from the market, right? So, like I have a diabetes clinic using it, our device in their 75 centers. They run 75 centers. They run uh, a managed diabetes or the reverse diabetes program, and now they are working with the state government where they are going to manage the 4 million customer base, which are diabetic patient.
Oh, wow.
So diabetic patient, I mean, ideally we fit into the three major criteria where we talk about it's, we call it NCDs, which is cardiac patient, diabetic patient, and hypertensive. And
Mm.
what I'm learning, Heather, is most of them are correlated each other. Like I was just talking to one of the physician on Sunday morning, and he said if you are at a stage A of the diabetes and you started with metformin as your medication, trust me, in couple of years you are running towards becoming a cardiac patient.
Ooh.
And of course, hypertensive is already started. So we, for a Scanbo D8, which is our first version, we're talking about these three NCDs. But we have been very successful at having a good feedback where uh, remote patient monitoring is needed. The community is far away from the major facilities are there where you have to fly them back, lift them up, or sometime uh, you are too far remote that you can't get even the basic diagnostic done, which is where I think because of the portability, we have that win-win situation.
Yeah. Yeah, rural healthcare comes up a lot on this show because there's many people like yourselves, these kind of new technology that's able to show up in rural healthcare or rural areas where we have various I don't know, healthcare deserts, right, to certain degrees, like, or
Yes.
hard to get in to see a specialist. You just don't have the access that urban areas have. So
It helps that we're based in one of those areas, being in Flagstaff.
yeah, so we recognize some of those challenges, of getting care quickly
Yeah.
because in fact, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine this morning who ironically I ran into at urgent ortho, who was there with her son while I was there. And I asked her, hey, what's going on? Because I didn't get to talk to her very long. And she said, well, we've got to get an MRI for her son, but it's going to take 10
Oh.
days. 10 days. And I had said to my husband this morning, we're like, if Van needs an MRI, we're like, it's going to be weeks before we can get him in anywhere. Now that's an MRI, a little bit different. But I think the same thing applies, right? Like depending on whatever, whatever the need is, like we run into that and we're in a we're not like rural where we are.
We are the hub of a very rural
Yes.
county.
Yep.
So we are like, if you live in one of the really small remote towns in northern Arizona, you talk about Flagstaff like it's the city.
Yep.
But people who live in Flagstaff, when we need stuff, we have to go to Phoenix because that's the actual city.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
it's all
And
relative to where you're coming from. I had this conversation with someone just yesterday, I think it was, where like people from small towns think Flagstaff is a city, but people from cities think Flagstaff is a small town. It's this weird in between.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the biggest thing in all of northern Arizona, which is a huge area. Like we're one of the, if not the biggest county in the country.
I think we are the biggest county
I
in the
think we're the
country.
biggest, like geographically.
Yeah.
And
By square miles.
There are not a lot of people here.
wow.
Right. And
You
we
know
border
what?
the Navajo reservation, which
Right.
has high prevalence of diabetes and hypertension and all of these things. I mean, I can see Scanbo just showing up in these areas and like our Indian health services and things like that.
You know what? We were discussing with one of the First Nation community here in Canada,
Mhm,
uh, and they are just kind of 30-40 kilometers away from probably the major city. But
mhm,
look at this. They don't have more than one clinic for 10,000 people community.
right.
And if they have to do even the basic glucose test, blood test, they have to drive 40 kilometers, which
Mhm,
is really no. I mean, I feel like technology has advanced a lot. Diagnostics should be done in less than 10 minutes of time. MRI, CT scan, I still understand because of the facility, large machines, large setup, it takes time. But when I had to do my daughter's MRI, it took us 6 months wait time.
wow.
Now look at this way. I could afford, so I did it in private. But still in the private, we were talking about 8 weeks.
Mhm,
Okay. Now
Wow.
the cost of that was amazingly good numbers. It's not the number that a normal human being can afford and can go. Now, if that is the case that as of today, then we are really doing wrong.
mhm,
Because if the diagnostic is not done on time, you are inviting a patient to become chronic for lifetime.
right.
And I think, back home in my culture, um, it says three things are necessity: food, shelter, and clothing. I think more importantly, we should put as healthcare everywhere, because if your health is not good, rest of the stuff doesn't really matter. My
That's right.
wife was going through the pain in her cheek, and for 4 days, she was not at all worried about her clothes. She was not
Mm,
worried about her food. She was not worried about water. She was not worried about her air conditioner, but she was worried about her health.
mhm,
So, health needs to be the topmost basic need for humanity. And for that matter, diagnostic should be first, because on and on, I am realizing, and we're going to do that journey all over for a lot of other parameters. The body does tell you 10 years, 15 years ahead of time that you are going to get this discomfort in your body, whether it's Alzheimer, whether it's Parkinson, whether it's anything related to mental health or a physical health. Everything shows up in your body at least 10 years ahead of time.
yep. There's always signs.
And
Exactly.
that's what gathering all these huge data sets and running it through the AI is for too, right? You start finding what you're looking for to predict these
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, and you can find it
Because
earlier.
we've gotten a lot better with Alzheimer's, right? Like we can actually see that coming way more than we used to, right?
Yes, exactly. Look at this way. In case of the Alzheimer only, there is now blood markers that you can keep monitoring it early that tells you that are you running towards this or not. Fortunately, very soon with the help of AI discovery, we'll have some medication also available, at least to prolong it than what we do right now, or just stop it, stop the Alzheimer. Because again, I don't I am a scientist, so I am always a positive. My first statement start with, "I have a solution for everything." That's my attitude. So I'm confident we'll find a solution for Alzheimer or those kind of disease, which we call it as a no uh, recovery out of that.
Yeah. It made me think too, as I was thinking about your kind of your origin story around your father. I've also heard, and then thinking about all the things that Scambo tests around the blood sugars and all those things. I've heard with Alzheimer's that some of it's sometimes considered like type 3 diabetes there or something around that. Is that,
I've heard that recently. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Look,
that's an interesting correlation because and my neighbor and friend, her mom has it, and I remember her talking about how she was craving sweets all the time, and that was
yes.
something very unusual. And that was early on, not so much anymore. Well, maybe still, but have you looked at, is there something going on there? Because I feel like then you're, wow, that scan boy. I just came up with a new name for this. The Scanbo test would be awfully important.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you were right. Type 3 seems to be very much attached to the lot of mental conditions, health conditions like Alzheimer, Parkinson, dementia. But now, Heather, what I've learned in last couple of years, the body will tell you way, way, way advanced when there is an insulin resistance starts.
Hmm.
And if I am able to catch the insulin resistance, everything else will be kind of treatable, because that's where your glucose, your energy needs to be metabolized. And we don't realize that even the smallest discomfort, which we call it as a bloating, indigestion, constipation, creates and triggers the insulin sensitivity. So I think we will go back to our basics, and we will go back to food and nutrition in the end journey. But I think in the meantime, uh, like Scanbo, we are working for developing a marker where we say we will do insulin resistance for you every day. Uh, of course, like other startups, we are also looking for a non invasive way. AI can do that. But at this point of time, I'm very, very hopeful and positive of the blood test, urine test, saliva that will tell me insulin resistance. But I think everything is boiling down to that one particular cause called insulin resistance. And if I want to go further far away, then it's to mitochondria, because everything starts degenerative at that level. As you, uh, I typically don't use this word, but I say as you abuse your body mechanism, because body keeps constantly reminding you, giving you signal that you're not doing right, but we keep ignoring it. And this beautiful machine has so much of the resistance that you abuse it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and then your symptoms start surfacing on your external body, that you can
Hmm.
give it back to your physician as a symptom.
Right. You can only run away from it for so long.
Yeah.
It'll catch up to you
Yes.
eventually.
That
And
time
this
is very
this machine
tenacious.
is better. This machine is better than human created in their lifetime, right? The most beautiful and amazing machine, which takes so many abuses from so many places. Like, you do anxiety, you do stress, you do overthinking, you do overnight, over drinking, overeating. everything it takes for multiple years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I hate thinking about my 20s now.
Sometimes I wonder how do we
I mean, it
survive?
was fun, but goddamn.
Yeah, how do we survive this long? So, in thinking about kind of the future of Scamba, whether that is kind of imminent future, you've got a lot of things in the works. FDA, hopefully, right? FDA approval here very soon. Um, what's kind of how do you see things changing over the next few years? Whether that's just in diagnostics in general, the you know influence of AI, both of those things, maybe even just changing behaviors of people in general.
Yes, yes. I think the behavioral shift will be a big time for humans because we will have more access to data, and the more data will give me a better understanding. Just look at the variables. Tells me I don't have a sleep proper, and it also tells me how much stress I should be taking in today to have a good sleep. Sometimes we are sitting all the day on the chair and do nothing, the physical activity, right? But we do a lot of mental activity. So we feel tired, fatigued. But that's not right. That's only the mental health. Physical health gets you right sleep because body needs to get tired. Remember, our ancestors were doing farming and they used to get so much physically tired that by the time they go back to home, have dinner and go to sleep, and their eye don't open before the morning, right? So we will learn all of that behaviors, and I think AI will contribute big time. We will have some sort of a capability in the AI, like we have developed that RX Shield, which allows you and tells you that how can we avoid taking the two medications same time, avoiding the conflict between them, right? Because those kind of awareness, that kind of bringing you to the kind of the latest uh, updates in the science world, not only to the human like you and me, but even to the medical professionals, because so many stuff are happening across the globe now that we all miss, and AI can keep up with that space, with that pace, with space, everything. So yes, behavioral change, diagnostic will change big time. Like Scanbo, we will get all our tests done at a point of care, less than 5 minutes of time with a small amount of blood. Cheaper, affordable, you can do more frequent, you can do more often, you can monitor yourself, right? Those are the changes that I see in next 5 to 10 years of a horizon. But from a Scanbo's perspective, we sitting on 500,000 devices order from various governments. We are scaling it faster than ever before. I thought I'll have a hockey stick, which is kind of a tapering in that way, but I see now it's like a straight hockey stick curve, like standing curve now, because look at this, 500,000 devices in space, generating probably even a one patient per day data. I am generating 5 million humans data per day. That's what
That's
I'm
amazing.
doing
Yeah.
in next 24 months. And it's not, I'm not predicting it. It's order book.
Like
So
it's
those are the
happening.
changes
It's
coming up
happening.
to Scanbo.
Wow.
And that's just the start. I mean, if it really, like we said at the beginning, this is something every nurse should have in their pocket. If
Exactly.
How many nurses are there in the world?
A lot.
And
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 and how
that's why
many
I
data
say
points a day would each one of those nurses be
Collecting.
correct.
Yeah.
collecting with all the different patients that they all see every day?
Yeah.
And that's why I say Scanbo will be the largest health repository on this planet Earth.
Yeah, because we've had people doing things that are going to garner data sets like that for like more specific
Hmm.
things. But yeah,
Correct.
you're like the foundational, like all these things that are the biggest markers for all these other things.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
going to have that just endless data set on it. That's amazing.
Wow.
Correct.
This
Pretty
is a guy
amazing.
we're going to have back on in a couple of
Oh,
years and
100%.
see where all that went.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
More
yeah,
than
the
happy to come again if I could able to add a value to you to your podcast and to your all the audience.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say the future is bright for Scanbo. And I remember the first time you and I met, and I remember you telling me, and of course, your original idea, things have obviously evolved a little bit from what it looked like 2.5 years ago or however long it was. But gosh, did you ever think you'd be sitting here being able to say that you've got 500,000 devices
Oh, you know
in this
what?
amount of time?
That's a lot.
My projection was saying I will do this in 5 years. And look
Yeah.
at this, 500,000. And Heather, I have this is like a confirm order. We booked it. We said yes, we will deliver that. There is
Uh-huh.
one large order which is sitting, waiting and signing for me is like 2.5 million devices in Africa, which is
Wow.
other than
Wow.
me sitting in my backyard and saying, "Okay, I am ready when you are ready." So everything has been fast forwarded. That I did assumption that I'll do it in 5 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Africa. Scambo is going to be everywhere. And when that's my hope, right? Is that someone listening to this show, I mean, we don't want people to need, right? Diagnostics. We want people to be healthy, but I mean, chances are you're going to need or want diagnostics done on yourself or a loved one at some point or someone you care for. But wouldn't it be great if, somebody listening to this show today walks into their doctor's office or, in their care facility where their parent might be in a nursing home and then they see that Scambo show up. That is our hope, right? It becomes almost like what do they call it? A household name, right?
Correct.
Eponymous.
I will be more than happy when Heather visits to any clinic not needed. I don't wish you have to ever, but if you visit any clinic and you see Scanbo and you just give me a call, Ashish, I saw Scanbo.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what, then I would say, yes, we did it. We achieved it.
We
guess
have made it. Yes, and I
ubiquitous,
will.
I guess is the word. It needs to be ubiquitous. It needs to be everywhere all at once.
Yeah, it's a good word. Yeah,
That's the right word for it.
and if I do ever see a Scanbo in the wild, and I'm going to take a picture of it,
Correct.
and
There you go.
Yes.
and I'm definitely going to put it on social media, and I'm definitely going to let you know.
Thank you, Heather. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this has been another great conversation. I've been looking forward this for a while. I'm actually glad that we ended up not doing it until later because there's so much other good, exciting stuff that's happened in the last
Yes.
6 months for you. So I'm glad that you're able to share that with us here today. I guess I don't have to wish you luck because you clearly don't need it. This is just something that the world needs this, and you are solving a big problem, and so I'm excited to see where Scambo goes and grows. So,
and we'll have all
Thank you
links
so
in the show notes. So if anybody wants to find this, just look at the show notes.
Absolutely. Next time,
abs-
next time when you see Scanbo or you remember Scanbo, remember with this note that Scanbo is an ethical AI in healthcare.
there you go. That's
I love
Thank you
this
so much
concept
to
of
both of
ethical
you for your
AI.
time.
ethical AI in healthcare. We want that. We need it, and we deserve it. So it's here to stay. And if it's going to show up in healthcare, it needs to be ethical. It needs to be consented to, and it needs to be helpful, right? So,
That's what we want. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you, both of you, for your time. Really appreciate that. And thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
yes, so I've loved having you on. This has been you are like and basically like exactly the type of person and company that we want to have on the show.
It's what this podcast is built for.
Exactly. It is. It's just checks
Thank
all
you.
the boxes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, really. Thank you for coming on. This has been such a great conversation. I'm so happy that you have had so much success and obviously so much more coming. So definitely I will keep my eyes peeled on all your good things coming down the line, and we'll definitely have to have you come back too at some
Sure.
point. Yeah.
Of course.
You go.
Happy to be a part of it.
And we get one step closer to Star Trek.
There we go. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us on the Healthcare Uprising. Make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons before you go, and take a moment to think of a friend and hit that share button. You can find us on all the major audio platforms, and we've got video on YouTube if you want to watch us in action.
You can also find us on social media on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. Just search Healthcare Uprising to find us. And if you're a new company with a cool new product, if you're someone innovating alternative methods for the health and wellness space, or if you have a personal healthcare journey you'd like to share with us here at The Uprising, please email us at healthcareuprising@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you about coming on the show. Well, that's all for this dose of Healthcare Uprising. Until the next time, keep looking for the good in the world, because sometimes it's where you least expect it.
We are not doctors and we don't play one on TV. If you need medical advice, consult with your physician or a healthcare professional. This has been a Shut Up production.
Shut up!